We celebrate the 4th of July as a reminder of earning our independence from a tyrannical and oppressive government. Just a reminder to the Obama administration, there's plenty of room on the calendar for another holiday.
But what do you make of Texas and others wanting their gold back? All this other behavior we see, runs on banks in Greece, similar regulations coming in, the Fed's announcing internal passports to travel next year. I mean, this is crazy.
Well, you're right about that, Alex. I can tell you what, the reason why Texas wants to get their gold back is because they don't trust the Federal Reserve System to hold it for them, and I don't blame them. I wouldn't have them do it either. From the United States citizens in 1933. They did it at $26 an ounce. They raised it to $36 the year afterwards. When they take gold away, see, they have the ability to manipulate the gold prices. They can quietly buy the gold prices, keep the interest rates low, make equities look really attractive. Meanwhile, while they're quietly sopping up all the precious metals for their own ownership, then things break loose. All of a sudden, the prices start to go up.
If you fear something, do something about it. If you can't do anything about what you fear, then don't worry about it because you can't do anything about it. The point of all these things are, if you're constantly looking in fear, emotionally worrying about things outside of your control, it disempowers you from taking real, conscious, individual choices to make yourself independent. If you fear the dollar is going to collapse, get your money out of the system. If you fear that your job isn't going to exist, start learning new skills. If you're surrounded by narcissistic, psychopathic people who would riot on the first sign of the paychecks aren't coming through, start taking action. Stop wasting your time and being paralyzed by fear by all these doom porn guys out there. That's it.
10 shootings occurred within 48 hours in Chicago over Mother's Day weekend. The shootings left 3 people dead and 11 injured. 3 of the injured remain in critical condition. Last year, more than 500 people were murdered in Chicago. That's more than in Afghanistan, where 310 U.S. soldiers died during the same period. Tragically, Bible prophecy indicates that what is now happening in Chicago will soon spread to many more American cities.
Every day, the Earth is shaken by hundreds of small earthquakes. Most go unnoticed. They usually occur along the boundaries of the thin plates that cover the Earth like an eggshell. Driven by the heat deep within the Earth's core, the plates grind against each other on long lines called faults. When the plates find their motion blocked, stress builds up. Finally, the fault gives way. The released energy races through the Earth in the form of seismic waves. For much of the world, the movement of plates like these is also an indispensable creative force.
If we didn't have earthquakes, if we didn't have this great flow of heat from the interior of the Earth would be a cold, dead place. It's really the earthquakes that create the topography, the valleys, the mountains.
Earthquakes have been shaping landscapes for eons. It's only in the last few hundred years that civilization has gotten in the way. And when it does...
AIDS, cancer, TB, syphilis, chlamydia, gonorrhea, childhood diseases, hepatitis, malaria, respiratory infections, maternal conditions, nutritional deficiencies, diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, asthma, traffic accidents, population living with autism and autism diagnosis, and the first stroke. Population living with HIV. Already, as I've been speaking to you, 6,000 people have been diagnosed with cancer. The stuff that they're spraying out into the stratosphere, which they're telling us about openly online and in other places, that's what's causing the respiratory infections, peeps. What they're spraying, that's what's causing the respiratory infections.
I think it matters who's president. I'm one of those people. I don't think it does.
I don't think it matters. Doesn't. Doesn't.
Doesn't matter at all.
Dude, Hillary Clinton goes to those Bilderberg meetings. It's like the Illuminati stuff, right? She probably hooked up with some guy wearing like a goat's head, and then she goes out on TV and she's talking to people who drive snowplows like she can relate to them.
Joe Biden, our creepy vice president, who manages to put his foot in his mouth over and over again.
I've had a great relationship. In Delaware, the largest growth in population is Indian Americans moving from India. You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent.
Biden has enabled the disastrous drug war and played a key role in militarizing. He considers domestic crime to be a national Senate to push through draconian legislation, including mandatory minimum sentences and the creation of a cabinet-level drug czar. The way federal prosecutors use RICO laws to take aim at drug offenders? Think Biden. How about the abomination that is federal asset forfeiture laws and an escalation of the drug war throughout the 1990s are directly responsible for the militarized and killer cops now roaming the streets of America. Since 2001, the Department of Homeland Security has given out more than $34 billion in grants to police departments across the country, allowing them to purchase military-grade weapons including tanks, armor, and armored personnel carriers. The government has added an Orwellian surveillance grid to the mix. This apparatus is less concerned with drugs and terror than it is controlling the American people and targeting political enemies. For the rulers of America, however, it doesn't matter if the candidate is Clinton or Biden, or for that matter, Jeb Bush or any other vetted Republicans jostling for the nomination. The prospect of Joe Biden taking the Democrat nomination merely reaffirms the fact that the oligarchy in control of America prefers deeply corrupt politicians who can be trusted to carry out the police state, New World Order.
Yeah, we're launching
agenda.
Occupy Peace.
Yes.
And it's to bring home the troops to honor the founding fathers, beginning with George Washington. His farewell address, no foreign entanglements. And the world was a big-time war back then. Franklin, Adams, Jefferson, every one of them. So what Occupy Peace is to stop this march to war that we see coming. Currency wars, commodity wars, trade wars, world wars. Close the bases, secure the homeland, put the troops to work rebuilding America's rotted infrastructure, dilapidated cities, use the money to rebuild the country. And here's something really important, Greg. Congress has not voted to go to war since World War II. We're going to demand the Congress vote. And one other little caveat, we want to have on each state referendum a ballot or referendum that will tell Congress how to vote. Yes or no, because we pay for the war with our money or our lives. Yes, we will have, if the president needs immediate action, if we're attacked, of course, the game changes. But absent of that, it's Libya, it's Iraq, it's Afghanistan, it's killing us, and more to come. There are madmen in charge.